So Bhagavad Gita is called manual of our life. So the way when we buy anything, any, let's say, electronic device, it comes with a manual which tells us how to operate this particular machinery, a particular device. So that manual tells us step by step how to go about it. It actually tells even if there is some bug, some issues coming, how to resolve those issues. So everything right from operating the device to fixing the device, and then if we are unable to fix, then whom to approach. There is a call center number, or there's a service center number. If we cannot fix, then whom to contact. All those details comes in a manual. Similarly, Bhagavad Gita is a manual for our life, which actually tells us how we should execute our life in a nice way. If there is a problem, then what we should do to fix those problems. And if we find ourselves helpless in that situation, to solve the problem ourselves, whom to contact and how to contact. So all those details are given in this manual, and that's why it is called a life manual. To go into the technicals of Bhagavad Gita, this was spoken 5,000 years before during the battle of Kurukshetra. So this we all know, most of us. So there was a war between Pandavas and Kauravas, and so this war was mostly, it looks like on a broader terms, for the kingdom, but that was not the only reason. This was a war between the right and the wrong. And then there are some important characters who are part of this holy scripture. And the main two characters of this conversation, which is called Bhagavad Gita, is Arjuna and Lord Krishna. So Bhagavad Gita, the name itself has a meaning. It's called Bhagavad Gita. Gita means song, and Bhagavad is a song of Lord. So it's a song sung by Lord himself, and that's why it's called Bhagavad Gita. So it's pronounced as Gita. So it's a song of Lord Krishna. And this song was sung for a devotee by the Lord. So that makes this song most beautiful. This I'll just skip to, because this we know. Now the question can be, okay, fine, the Bhagavad Gita was spoken 5,000 years before. It was a war happening. So what is there in it for me in the modern time? There's no chariot, no Krishna, no Arjun, no kingdom. So what will I get if I read Bhagavad Gita? And I'm too busy. So what's in it for me in the practical way? Can you think of something? What comes to your mind when we say Bhagavad Gita applies to the modern life as it is? What comes to your mind? What comes to, or just let me give you a more, bring you more closer. What is unique between the war of Kurukshetra and modern life? Is there some similarity we can think of?
Lots of similarity, yes.
So what comes to your mind, Auntie, when you think of?
Basically, there's so much, especially at present times, there's so much negativity and so much going on, and we are attracted to the materialistic world, towards our relations and everybody. If there's something going wrong or whatever it is, we just had sort of keep it under the carpet or let it go under the carpet, don't want to resolve it. And then when the reality comes, we say, oh, how can I do this? How can I do this? It's not possible. And when the thing is that we are not going forward or taking our steps forward to go to our destiny of what we should do, a soul should go to. That's what I feel.
So you summarized it very nicely, Auntie. So that's what, it's not that this is an old scripture which is talking about some story which happened between, during the war, or it's a 5,000-year-old saga. That's not the thing. Basically, Bhagavad Gita represents the situation of our life. So there was a battle of Kurukshetra And the same battle we are fighting every day in whatever phase of life we are. Now, this battle can be externally or this battle can be internally. Externally is the battle which we fight every day when we go out for whatever work we are doing. If we are going to work, if we are students, if we are going to school, if now it's not that we are fighting with the weapons, but there is a war, there is a bombardment of knowledge, there is a bombardment of I would not say knowledge, it's a bombardment of information which is there, and our mind is not able to process all the information in a right way, and that leads us to a confusion, and that confusion brings us to the internal fight. So that battle starts, it starts from the external stimulus, but it ends up in our internal, um, so to say, confusion. And that fight or that battle is what is represented by battle of Kurukshetra. So during the battle of Kurukshetra, even Arjun had the so big confusion. He was in a dilemma, and that is the situation of every human being in today's world, whether we agree to it or not, whether we are ready to recognize it or not, but we are in a situation of confusion at every point in time. We don't have the clarity what we want to do and how we should do. So it's like we are just running without any goal. So recently I heard this term, spiritual disruption. I really loved it, so I thought I'll just talk about it a bit more before going to it. I really loved it. Recently, a week back, I think I heard from one of the Guru Maharaj. So I really liked it, the terminology, and that's what it is. So we are just running without any full stop. So he gave a terminology which I really liked of a traffic signals. So when we are on the roads and we are really liking the roads, we really love our car, and we are at the speed of 70 and 60 going somewhere, and suddenly a traffic light comes and we have to stop. Do we really like that? We don't, because we are in a momentum, we are just going and suddenly we have to stop. So we don't like that. Definitely we don't like that. So that's a disruption. The example was given. But then, is it needed? Are traffic lights needed? Yes. Why it is needed? For the smooth functioning of the traffic. If it's not there, there will be a bigger congestion going ahead. But at that point in life, it feels like inconvenience to stop at that signal. Similarly, it's called spiritual disruptions. So these scriptures like Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam or the acharyas, whatever they are speaking over a lifetime, so these are like spiritual disruption. They try to stop us. And basically disruptions comes on its own accord. Any problem, anything which happens in our life, it will come. But then those are like, the red lights. Now it's up to us whether we feel inconvenient by it or we look for the help. Now these are called spiritual disruption. So what happens when we stop? Actually, it gives us a time to rethink about everything. So suppose if there is a problem, let's say a financial problem suddenly which is happening in our family life, and we are in a situation where we are not sure what to do, how to go about it. So that's like a stop. It gives us a time to rethink, what we can do more with our life. If this is the financial problem we are going through right now, what are the different ways we can handle this situation? So either we can lose ourselves over that problem, or we can explore multiple better opportunities because of that. So then that gives us a stop to go in a good direction, and that is what this Bhagavad Gita helps us with, because this is a place where we can look when there is a disruption. We can just look at these scriptures, what they talk, and then it makes our journey smooth. So that's what I liked about that particular term. So I thought so this is what it is. The battle of Kurukshetra even continues with everyone in every way. So what are the teachings of Bhagavad Gita? It will actually strengthen the deep within. So when we are strong from inside, the outside environment, the problems will not have that effect what it can have if we are not internally strong. So one very nice this terminology my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj gives. He says that there are two kinds of fish. One fish which swims on in the shallow water, or rather on the surface of water. Now, whenever there is some waves or high tides, this fish will get disturbed a lot because this fish is swimming on the shallow water. Or if there are some eagles or vultures flying above, the probability of them catching this fish is very high. But there are fish who swim actually deep in the sea. Now, even if there is high tide or anything, because they are so deep in the sea, they are not disturbed by that turbulence. And them getting affected by the external factors, which are represented by vultures or, so this is not the case with them because they are so deep in the water. So what my Guru Maharaj says that when we are connected to these scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, when we read them daily, when we understand what Lord Krishna's message in this, our position is like that fish who is deep in the water, and that fish is not easily disturbed by the external turbulences. So that's what Bhagavad Gita does. So it is like it's all about internal strength. It does talk about. I am getting some. Just give me a moment, please. Okay. Then the question is that, is this a sectarian, Bhagavad Gita? Many times when we go out on roads to distribute Bhagavad Gita, when we ask people to take Bhagavad Gita, the most very common thing, we don't believe in the religion, or we are not Hindus. These kind of, because these all are the general myths we have. This is not a regional text, or this is not a sectarian belief, so to say. Bhagavad Gita is all about Bhagavad. It's called Sanatan Dharma. I'll not go into the details of Sanatan Dharma, but just to give a summary, what is Sanatan Dharma? So what we say Hindu, Muslims, or Christian, or Buddhism, or Jewish, these all are different religions, yes, but they are more like a faith. Faith is something which can change over a time. Today I'm a Hindu, tomorrow I may choose to become a Christian. But dharma is something which is eternal, which is this is a basis of a human life. We all are born with one dharma, and that is called Sanatan Dharma. So whatever faith we have, whatever religion we follow, but our duty, our dharma as a human being doesn't change. And that is what is called Sanatan Dharma. And Bhagavad Gita is a literature, or it talks about Sanatan Dharma, and it is not about any particular religion. Now, coming to why we should read Bhagavad Gita, because we have this tendency to get inspired. If someone, who is reading Bhagavad Gita, who is more famous, more intelligent, it's like, like how we follow the celebrities. If celebrities are selling some toothpaste, we'll end up buying that. So that's what we are trying to do here, trying to, make how look Bhagavad Gita more interesting. So these are the personalities who have read Bhagavad Gita. So sometimes we feel, no, Bhagavad Gita is for yes, the people who follow a religion, who follow some certain kind of, who believe in God. But no, Albert Einstein, he was a scientist, and he was a reader of Bhagavad Gita. Mahatma Gandhi read Bhagavad Gita, and this is a very profound statement which I really like. He many times said, whenever he had doubts, he used to open Bhagavad Gita a page, he used to read a verse, and he used to get the answers. So that is something, and this is not only Mahatma Gandhi, this we have heard from many people, that this is how it is. When we are in some situation and we open Bhagavad Gita, there is an answer for us lying there. And the celebrities who watch, the people who watch movies, this may inspire them. So Will Smith is a reader of Bhagavad Gita. He's promoting Bhagavad Gita these days. His tweets are there full of Bhagavad Gita quotes. So this was not needed, but yes, just to make it, more to have a nice gift wrap. So Bhagavad Gita is not sectarian. It's not about a religion. It's about Sanatan Dharma. It tells us about the duties as a human being, what we are supposed to perform over a life. And it is basically it's a systematic flow of conversation. It's not random that chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita is talking something and chapter 2 suddenly starts talking something else. There is a very nice flow. So this, I'll just, before going into the Bhagavad Gita detail, this one I particularly like a lot. So many time I hear this, or okay, Bhagavad Gita I read Bhagavad Gita, but I really don't understand it. It's too complicated. Or I'm not able to relate to it. Or it's just a Sanskrit and some translations. I don't remember anything. I cannot recall anything, even if I am reading it. So these kind of problems, it happens with me also. If I'm reading today, I may not be able to recall the verse I was reciting yesterday. So then why should I read? Or the same thing goes with the Harinam. Why should I chant the name of the Lord? Or why should I take the names of the Lord? Because I'm not able to remember anything. If there is a problem, the name of Lord doesn't come in my mind. I'm just too much into my problems. That time I can't recall anything from Bhagavad Gita. I can't think anything about God. Then what is the benefit of reading all this? So this is a very common problem. We always feel like that, because why this happens, and then why should I spend my time if I cannot connect to it? So there's one very nice story many of you must have heard. Quickly I'll tell, because I really like this story a lot. So there was one child, about 10 years old. He was living with his grandfather, and his grandfather used to read Bhagavad Gita daily. And then he used to ask him that, read one verse today, read another next day. And this child was not convinced. He was like, my grandfather is reading every day. What is happening? I cannot understand the value of it. So he was not convinced. And once he said that, Grandpa, I cannot understand. I cannot remember anything anyway. Even if I read, I cannot remember anything. Then why you are making me read it every day? I don't understand the value of it. So grandfather said that, okay, stop reading Bhagavad Gita. It's very boring. I'll give you some fun task. He gave him a basket and asked him to bring water from the nearby river. Now the child was like, in a basket, how to get the water? He just went anyway. Now this basket he took out from his garage, which in that he used to keep coal. So it was all dirty basket. So he asked him to bring the water. So he said, okay, I have to remove all the coal out of it to get something. He said, yeah, do whatever you want to do. Just remove coal or whatever I need you to get water in it. So he emptied the bucket and then he carried that basket and he tried to lift it, and then he was bringing, of course, water was not there. When he came back, he said, Father, nothing, Grandpa, nothing is staying in this basket. What should I do? So Grandpa said, okay, keep on trying, go again. And this child was obedient, which I really liked, because nowadays child will be like, they will not even agree to this task. Maybe this child was 50 years back. He was listening to his grandfather. So he again went and he came back, and this kept on. They did this process for a while. And after, doing this for a number of times, now finally this child was tired and he said, I can't do it anymore. What should I do? What do you want me to do? So grandfather said, okay, you could stop now. Just tell me, do you see some difference in the basket? He said, no, there's no water. He said, yeah, water is not there, but do you see some difference in the basket? He said, yeah, coal is not there because I emptied it. Anything else do you see? He said, yeah, it was very dark. It was black. It was all dirty in the beginning. But because I was bringing water again and again and again and again, the basket is now very clear. It's very clean. So grandfather said, so do you like this clean basket? He said, yes. And then his grandfather started explaining, see, Bhagavad Gita is like that. You may not be able to hold Bhagavad Gita's verses. You may not be able to recall them. You may not be able to remember them because that's like a water. It's just flowing. But you are like a basket. Your mind is like a basket which is filled of so many filthy things. And when this Bhagavad Gita's nectarian talk flow through it, it just keeps on cleansing your mind, and you don't even realize what is happening. And the same thing happens with the Harinam. When you chant the name of the Lord, I asked you to chant the name of the Lord. You are like, what is happening? I don't understand. Every time I'm repeating the name, what is the use? It's actually cleaning your consciousness every time when you are doing this, but you don't even realize it. That's what is happening to your basket of mind. So this was a very beautiful story, and this is what Bhagavad Gita, the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita does to our mind if we read it daily, if we meditate on Bhagavad Gita daily. Maybe we are not able to remember anything. Maybe we are not able to relate on a cross label because we think, okay, this situation is not related to me right now. But internally, what it does to our subconscious mind, it's beyond our perception. So that's what Bhagavad Gita does. It changes us inside and out. Coming to the topics of Bhagavad Gita, there are different kind of topics. It's called confidential, more confidential, most confidential. It talks about, and that's how, the structure is. But the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita, it's logged. So that we will see how it is logged. But let's just go through this one. My screen is somehow freezing. Okay. Is the verse visible? Yeah. So this is a verse from chapter number 4. It's a verse number 3. I'll just recite it. Sa evayam maya tetya yogaha proktaha puratanaha bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam hetuduttamam. So Lord Krishna says that very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you, because you are my devotee as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. So Krishna is giving a very profound statement here. How much merciful Lord Krishna is being here. He is, talking to us like a friend. Though it's a conversation between Krishna and Arjun. Krishna is saying this to Arjun, that you are my devotee and you are my friend. But here we all are in a position of Arjun. This Bhagavad Gita was not only spoken for Arjun. Had it been the case, this will not be like spoken in a battlefield. Krishna can talk to Arjun anytime in any place. Why this was spoken like this? Because we all are Arjuns, and we all are going through the dilemma, the situation, the confusion, the problems, what Arjun went through. And Krishna declares that whatever I'm telling you, because you are my friend, you are my devotee. So Lord Krishna considers us his friend, devotee. It's just when we are ready to hear this, when we have the ears to hear this song, then only it will go deep in our brain. Arjun had the ears, Arjun had the desire, Arjun had the faith, and that's why he could understand Bhagavad Gita. So same faith we need to develop, same hunger we need to develop to get this knowledge. Okay, these are some random question. What will I get? So, okay, there are so many things we get in the journey of Bhagavad Gita, but ultimately, what is our destination? What is the goal of our life? Where we are heading to? That's where it takes us. So it starts from. I'll go into the section in some time after, but the flow goes like that. At the end, it goes to the stage where it tells us what is our final destination. And then it shows the map, how we will start with the different yogas, starting with the karma yoga, how we will follow the ladder, or it's up to us. If we don't want to go into the ladder, we can skip some steps in that ladder. But yes, how we will navigate to our final destination, that's what it shows. So yes, like we are just trying to understand, it's a life-changing book. Yes. So this is a situation of our life typically. when we are confused, we are stuck, we don't know what to do, and then there is a clarity at the end. This is what happened with Arjun. This will happen with us if we go through Bhagavad Gita. Now, because this is introduction to Bhagavad Gita, let me quickly go into what are the subject matters of Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita, typically the entire book or entire conversation, I have to minimize this. Yes. It talks about 5 subject matters, which is Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, and Karma. So what are these in English? The names are on the screen. Ishvara means God. So it does the entire Bhagavad Gita, all 700 verses. We will not find anything other than these 5 topics. So talks about Ishwar, who is God, how to approach God, why there is God, why God is doing this. So everything about God. Second, Jiva, the living entity. We are the Jivas. We are the one who are at the receiver end. So what we are going through, what are our life situation, how God is there. So all these things connect. And then third is Prakriti, which is material world, material nature in which we are residing. We are part of the material world. And then there is something called as karma, which is activity. And then fourth is Kala, is the time, which is eternal time. Again, time is again Lord's energy. So what is keeping? So if we say, I don't know on the screen, if it's like, if we see this diagonally, Jiva is bound to the material nature because of karma. So this goes diagonally. So this is what will be explained in Bhagavad Gita, that Jiva is here in the material world because of all the karmas. And then there is a at the this is at a different level. There is a Lord who is always watching and guiding us from within and outside, but his position is different. Yes, he is so Ishvara and Jiva is not at the same level. They are not one. Like sometimes we get confused that Jiva and God is one. No, we are Jivas and God is at another position. He's also called as Paramatma. However, Jiva is called as Atma. So we are Atma, and there is a Paramatma who is there to sanction everything, but at the different level. But Jiva is bound to the material world by the activities, and which is controlled by Kal, which is time. So whatever activities we are doing in this material world, is everything is under the purview of time. So this is an eternal time, and we cannot skip this as far as we are in this material world. So these are the 5 subject matters of Bhagavad Gita. This we will see in detail. Just like I said, Ishwar is the supreme controller. We can call him by different names as per our faith, but for us, for me, Lord Krishna is the supreme controller. So he is Paramatma. And then there is Jiva, the spiritual soul. This is us. And Prakriti is the nature. And then these are like different pictures you might have seen somewhere, how it is controlled. Like this word is controlled by Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. So like that, this we all have heard. And how these 3 ladies in the picture, they represents the modes of material nature. So they are actually controlling us, and they are like the puppet controllers, and we are like puppets. We are being controlled by these modes of the nature. So these there are only 3 modes of nature. It's goodness, passion, and ignorance. So we all have mix of everything, and we are being controlled by it. And above that is Lord. So Lord is there watching. But the moment the Bhagavad Gita ends with that surrender to me, the moment a jiva surrenders to Lord, these threads which are binding us and controlling us, we can actually untangle from that. We can actually get rid of these threads. We are no more puppets the moment we are able to surrender to Lord. But yeah, we'll go ahead with the introduction. The Kala is time, and the time is the energy of Lord. So we cannot skip that as far as we are in this world. And karmas are our activities. Every action has the reaction that applies. So whatever we are doing, we have to reap the results. Now, so why should I read Bhagavad Gita? Like I'm saying from quite some time, there are so many questions which are there in our mind throughout. Some questions like, when there is a death or some problem or disease, we have this: why do bad things happen to good people? Why this is happening to me? What did I do wrong? Or, okay, if there's no problem, how to live a happy life? And then, okay, if there is God, who is he? Where is he? What should I do? So these are like typical questions, whatever question we can have, but these are like very common questions, some mix of questions we can have. Everything is answered in Bhagavad Gita. And then the end of Bhagavad Gita, where in chapter 18, verse number 66, Lord says, Sarv Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Abandon all the religion and surrender to me. That's what Lord declares. So he talks, Bhagavad Gita was spoken for around 45 minutes. For us, it's not 45 minutes. It's Lord Krishna. He took some 45 minutes. So during those 45 minutes, he explained everything to Arjun. He showed him so many things. He talked about different yogas, different practices. This is what you can do. This is what you should do. This is what you should not do. After explaining everything, at the end, very profound statement Krishna made, that whatever you are doing, abandon all your religious activities or whatever thing you are doing, surrender to me and I'll take care of everything. Now that doesn't mean that stop doing whatever work you are doing. That's not what Krishna is saying, that you become a passive person. No, what Krishna is saying, learn to surrender to me. Surrender to me, give yourself to me in whatever work you are doing. If you surrender, if you accept me as the supreme proprietor, if you accept that I am the ultimate authority, and if you surrender that whatever I as a jiva is doing is controlled by you, Krishna, and you are there to help me, guide me, then that's the mode of surrender. And then after that, we are not controlled by the material nature. Now quickly, this is like a some good collection. We have different verses. There are 18 chapters. So there are some verses which addresses one of the problems. Suppose if we are having the problem of anger, so these are the text for us in chapter 2, verse number 56, 62, 63. If we read these verses, if we have this particular problem, it can actually help us. Suppose if we have so much of pride, which we don't recognize. So let's see what we recognize easily. Confusion, yes. So if we have a confusion, then chapter 2, chapter 3, 18, these are the verses which can actually help us in dealing with that problem. So this is a quick snapshot. Every verse is important, but yeah, precisely these are the verses which talks about it. So now just going into a summary of the, or not the summary, the division of the Bhagavad Gita as a book, how it is divided. So there are 18 chapters. So it's a very clear category, 666. So chapters are divided like that. Chapter number 1 to 6 is one batch. Chapter 7 to 12 is one, and 13 to 18 is a one section. So what does chapter 1 to 6 talks about? It talks about jiva, precisely us. What, and then these are the chapter. So chapter 1 is talking about lamentation, which Arjun will go through the moment he sees the battlefield and he sees his relative and everything. He goes into a lamentation. I don't want to kill. This is a typical situation we all goes through sometime in life, a lamentation. Then we have the identity crisis. At some point in time, we are confused about our duty. That's chapter 3. It will talk about karma yoga. What is karma yoga? What are our duties in midst of all the problem, in midst of everything? And then chapter 4 gives about, it's the knowledge. The Krishna gives the transcendental knowledge. And then 5 and 6 is further stage up, which is like, one is duty, which is karma yoga. And chapter 5 does talk about a better karma yoga in Krishna consciousness, or karma yoga in a higher consciousness. So one, we can do our duty to reap the benefit, but then there is a better way of doing the duty in a higher consciousness. So that's chapter 5. And chapter 6 is Dhyan Yoga, where We all have heard of this term, point in time, the meditation, which is very famous these days, but meditation is not the end. And that still see the meditation remains at the stage of chapter 6 only, because yeah, but that's dhyan yoga, where we try to give some clarity to our mind, to make it less troublesome. But that is typically chapter 1 to 6. It does talk only about the jiva, us. And then there is chapter 7 to 12. This is the most there was a slide before where it says the wisdom is password protected. This is the portion of wisdom. So generally when we say this is called, Bhagavad Gita is called like a sandwich. So we have a bread upper, one bread below, and in between we have all the cheese and tasty stuff. So because this is how Krishna has kept the secret in the middle. So the first 6 chapter does talk about the karma yoga. Middle 6 chapter actually talks about bhakti yoga, and last 6 chapter talks about the Jnana yoga. So in between karma yoga and Jnana yoga is the sweetest part of Bhagavad Gita, which is called bhakti yoga, because this is the part which touches the heart, and that's why this is most sweet. It's like a juice. So even the fruits, they have the juice wrapped inside. So this is how this is called the best part, or the protected part of Bhagavad Gita, which talks about only Krishna. So the chapter 7, it does talk about knowledge of the absolute. That's the name of the chapter, like who is Lord. It gives us a glimpse of the Lord. And then once we understand, okay, there is a supreme Lord, how we can attain the supreme Lord, that's chapter 8. And 9th is called the Guhya Yoga, or the confidential knowledge, because that's what is bhakti is all about. That's the confidentiality, that how we can achieve that prema, or the love for Lord. And then chapter 10 is called Vibhuti Yoga, where Lord Krishna is talking about his different forms. But that is just to show at the end that devotees, this is just a glimpse of me. So this is for most, it's for devotees very important to understand, not to get bewildered by different forms or different opulence of the Lord. But at the end, Lord says that whatever I'm showing you, when we will go in these chapters, we'll understand. So whatever I'm showing you, that's just a very small fraction. I am something more than that, but I can just give myself to my devotee. So that's for basically for devotees to show. Krishna is showing. 11th is a universal form, which is called Virat Roop, which is very famous. We have seen the picture where Lord Krishna is showing different forms. And chapter 12 is the devotional service, which is Bhakti Yoga. And this is the main chapter where for the devotees, because this is the sweetest part of the sweetest section. And then going to the next stage, which is the next section, it's all about Jnana Yoga. So these are the chapters. Chapter 13, it talks about basically the nature. It talks about the Lord. It talks about the Jiva. It talks about everyone. So that's chapter 13. So this section of Bhagavad Gita becomes very technical, actually. So it is because it's Jnana Yoga. It goes, it starts from simple, sweet, and then it becomes very technical. But the sweet part is what can take us to Krishna. This is, yeah, but this is good to understand, because it will tell us how we are locked inside a prison. So chapter 14 talks about, a prison, and what are the bars of these prisons. So all these 3 material modes of nature, like goodness, passion, and ignorance, which are affecting us, those threads which are controlling us, are like bars of this prison. Chapter 15 is one of the best, shortest and sweetest chapter. It's called Purushottama Yoga. It gives us the escape plan, how to get out of this jail. And 16th chapter, it does talk about the people again. What are the different kind of people in this world? Chapter 17, it gives us, the more detail about what are the different faiths and how we can unlock our potential in a different way. And chapter 18 is the last chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which talks, the main point of chapter 18 is surrender, in which Krishna says, surrender to me. So that's, and these are the typically the section. So also we call this section as the first section, chapter 1 to 6 is about living. So how we live in this world, how we can execute ourselves in this world. So practically speaking, we are not going beyond chapter 1, or rather chapter 3. We are not going beyond chapter 3 in our lives, because we are just stuck with the daily activities without any goal. We don't really understand how we should execute ourselves. So we are not actually moving ahead of that. But that does talk about living. The next section does talk about loving. So it's like living to loving the Lord. And the last section, it does talk about let go. So this is like living, loving, and let go. So that's what the typical terminology we use for Bhagavad Gita. So once we know how to live, we understand how to love, and then we learn how to let go of the things. Now this course, or this Bhagavad Gita course, what we are going, we will be referring to Bhagavad Gita as it is by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. There are so many commentaries on Bhagavad Gitas done by different acharyas over a time, and everyone has their own interpretation. But what we will be referring in this course is Bhagavad Gita as it is, what Srila Prabhupada has translated. It's not his interpretation, but it's the translation Srila Prabhupada did by referring to all the translations done by the previous Acharya in the Guru Parampara. So it is said, when an author, he doesn't add his own interpretation, but he refers to what is given by previous Acharyas in the Guru Parampara, any scriptures in that way, if written, remains authentic, because there is no adulteration, there is no modification. So what Prabhupada did, he just translated in English. It was there in different languages, and especially in Hindi and Sanskrit before. So he translated in English, and whatever purports he has given based on referring to the commentaries of different acharyas. So that's why it is called Bhagavad Gita as it is. So there is no modification. So I request everyone who has joined today to get Bhagavad Gita as it is by Srila Prabhupada. If you don't have it, you can get it online from anywhere, like even Amazon or anywhere you can get it. If you are in Bournemouth, you can come and collect from me. But you should have Bhagavad Gita to go through this course. Just a quickly, who is Srila Prabhupada, because he is our guru, I need to talk. So Srila Prabhupada is the founder of International Society of Krishna Consciousness, and he traveled throughout the world. He traveled at the age of 70. He started at the age of 70, and within 11 years, he transformed and created this big revolution in the history. And he created 108 temples in 11 years. He wrote so many books. He translated Srimad Bhagavatam, which is one of our Puran, comprising of 18,000 verses. It's not easy to translate such a literature. He translated entire Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and so many scriptures he translated. And so we are here because of him, because of his blessings. We are getting a glimpse of Bhagavad Gita. And yeah, so there are so many books Srila Prabhupada has written. You can go through these books whenever you have some time. So this is where I'll stop talking now for today. If you have any questions from today's session, please go ahead. Was it an information overloaded, or it was too less of an information? It was everything was known.
No, just processing everything.
Great source of information. Really looking forward to the classes to begin, but really informative. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Priya Mataji. Looking forward to share this knowledge with all of you. Like I said, this is not a teacher-student session, so please don't put me in that. I am not in that position. I'm just a facilitator just trying to learn from all of you. Whatever you know, please share with me. And yeah, if you have any question, not right now, you can post your questions in the group, in Bhagavad Gita online group. If anything comes to your mind from today's session or anything related to Bhagavad Gita, please post in the group. I'll try to answer if I can. If I'm not able to answer, I'll approach my seniors and I'll get the answers for you.
Mataji, can I just ask something?
Yes, Mataji.
So in the last one, when we said into meditation, right?
There's some noise. If Santosh Prabhu, if you can mute yourself. Yeah. Yes, Mataji.
Sorry, Mataji, yes, I understand about meditation. That's not the end of it. So what's further to that? I know when we meditate, it's to sort of connect ourselves to the destination of our soul, to the Supreme. But then here, I didn't understand what you meant by meditation, and further to that after that, what it would be.
Right. So Mataji, meditation, it's a very, big term. It is very much misunderstood also these days, because there are so many ways a meditation can be done. So if meditation is done in a right way, it will lead us to a destination. But if meditation is not done in a right way, of course it will have good benefits on our mind. First of all, it will have a good calming effect. More peaceful we will feel. But all those effect remains at the bodily level, at the mind level. Or maximum it can go to our subtle body. There are two kind of body, gross body and subtle body. Or if more deep, it can go to the subtle body. But still, if meditation is not done in a right mode, to the right way, we will still remain in the bodily conception. To get out of this bodily conception, the meditation has to be on the Supreme Lord. So there are different ways. I'm not saying this way is right or this way is wrong, this is better, this is not good. Everything has its own benefit. But if meditation is not done on Supreme Lord, then that meditation cannot take us out of the bodily concept. It can have so many benefits, but we cannot get out of this cage. That's what.
That's what, because I don't know if I am misleading myself or not understanding. So you see, let's say when we are chanting, are chanting or sitting, it's not that, okay, fine. For meditation, we have to sit in one position, sort of concentrate, not even concentrate, but just be relaxed and listen to ourselves. That's what I feel that meditation is, and to go further towards the destination. But then by chanting, I don't know if I'm misled here or not, by bhakti, can you go to by meditation through bhakti, can you get to the destination? Like you just said, that the Supreme, the only way of getting to our destiny is through our bhakti. That's what I think you say. So is it, and somewhere along the lines, I have understood about meditation that it's not bhakti that takes you to that place. So I'm a bit confused here. If you can just clarify, there's lots of going, because I try to do I do meditation, but by chanting or thinking of myself as a soul every time and then behaving that way. But there's a bit of a misunderstanding here. If you can just clarify it to me. I cannot explain it to you.
So there is meditation can be done on different objects, so to say. So there are different kind of meditation. One is called meditation on void. When you meditate on nothing, practically you are asked to sit and meditate on nothing. You just close your eyes and meditate on nothing. That's called a voidism. So when you actually meditate on nothing, it's practically impossible for us, because we are beings of 5 elements. We are made up of 5 elements. So Our every sense is made up of 5 elements, and if we are asked to meditate on nothing,
मोबाइल चालू है, बंद कर मत
it becomes really difficult. Then there is another way of meditation when we are asked to meditate on some part of our body itself. Focus here, focus there, focus this and that. Again, that will have its own very calming effect. It will, it will cleanse our chakras and everything. And I'll not go into all those science. It's a science. It will help. But still, that remains on the bodily platform. Because what happens is with all these meditation, we are able to do so many things, but we cannot let go of our ego. That's the last thing to leave the body. So when this material body is created, when this material world gets created, the first element that comes out from, it's called Mahat Tattva. It's becoming technical, but yes, from the Mahat Tattva, the first element of the material world comes out is ego. It's not air, water, fire, what we say 5 element. That comes very later in the creation cycle. The first thing that comes out is ego, and that's the last thing to go. So when we are able to do meditation in different ways, we may be able to elevate, get rid of, material elements like water, fire. We are able to deal with those, but to let go of ego is most difficult. That's why biggest, most famous yogis in the history, if we read these stories, they had all these problems. They were like very good yogis, but they had this, anger, or they were not able to handle their anger, or so anger comes from ego. So that's very difficult. But in bhakti yoga, what happens, we let go of our ego as a first thing, because we surrender to Lord in a position of a servant. I say to Lord that I am your servant. And that's not just by saying. Our act, our mood should be of a servant. The moment we start putting ourselves in a position of a servant, and then we meditate on Lord by chanting. Let's say when I'm chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. I'm calling Lord in a mood that Krishna, I'm your servant. I'm just taking your name. I'm just calling you. And that is a full surrender I'm having. So what I'm trying to let go of is my ego. So when we do this kind of mantra meditation, where we are taking names of Lord, our ego, that basket which we were talking of, that black thing, the basket starts to get clean. With every meditation, it gets to a better place. But to get rid of that blackness of the basket completely is only possible when we surrender to the Lord. And that's what Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita in chapter forgetful, or is he falling short of words, that even in 700 words he's saying the same verse twice? No other verse is repeated except this one. So Krishna is not forgetful. He's just trying to bring the attention to the point that abandon all religion, whatever you are doing, ultimately you have to surrender to me. And that is what bhakti yoga teaches us. So when we do meditation on Lord, so if we meditate, if we sit, we close our eyes and we meditate on the form of the Lord. Now, form of the Lord is in your mind. You may meditate on Lord Ram, you may meditate on Lord Krishna, you may meditate on Lord Narsimha, whatever form you are connected to. But when you meditate on that form, you may feel that this is very theoretical. I have not seen Lord Krishna. I'm just imagining, okay, he's having a peacock feather, he's holding the flute. I have not seen, I have just seen the picture of Lord. How it is helping me? But this is like that basket, which the water, which we don't understand. But even the form of the Lord, the name of the Lord is so purifying. Whenever we meditate on it, whenever we take the name of the Lord, our consciousness starts to get purified. And at the end, we are able to let go of the ego. That's a long stage. It's a journey. But that's what the meditation should be on. Meditation should be on the ultimate supreme Lord, where we put ourselves in a position of a servant and supreme in the position of a supreme. We are not, running a race with Krishna, that okay, at one day by meditating I will become Krishna, I will become Lord. Even that's one philosophy where it says you keep on meditating, one day you will become the Lord. So then
sorry to interrupt, but then again, when you think of that way, the ego brings you in, isn't it? That's another thing coming into you.
yeah,
You're
that's another.
becoming-
So that's what I keep tell to my there are so many ego boosters we have in our life, and the biggest ego booster is, can you think of what is the biggest ego booster? And I was shocked to hear this when I heard it from my teacher.
It's the climate. It's what you
Give us some clue.
Sorry,
Give us some clue.
it's very much related to what we are doing or we are trying to do. Biggest
Anything
ego
that we
booster.
do, somebody praises us. When somebody praises us, I think that's the
Yeah, that is of course a ego booster.
yeah.
The biggest ego booster which I heard from the teacher is the spirituality, and that was like very alarming. We
Oh.
feel very nice, oh, I'm a spiritual person, I'm doing all the spiritual things very nicely, I'm a bhakti. Yes, Bhumika Mataji, you are close. So that's what, the moment I get that feeling, I'm a bhakt, I'm a devotee, I'm the spiritualist, I'm doing all the spiritual activity, that's the biggest ego booster. And
So
that's
that
what
I-
happens with when we go into different meditation, we start believing that I am a meditator, I'm a spiritualist, and that is where we will not go out of this bodily level. And that's when we have to learn to surrender. Until we surrender to the supreme, there is no way out. So that's why it's called bhakti yoga is the ultimate way. Many times people confuse that bhakti yoga is one of the step in the ladder. You just walk over that step and go ahead one step. No, bhakti yoga is not a step. Krishna is not a step for us to become, something better than Krishna. So that is something it's the message.
So
Does
if I
that
may
answer?
correct myself here, sorry to interrupt you here. Again, whenever there's quite a few activities that are done. Now again, I'm going to say I'm not again, but it's been done by ourselves, us, right? So when everybody comes and tells me and praises, saying thing, it's so nicely done, and this, so I always say it's only Hari Kripa, because I just want to clarify myself here that it's that pride that I don't want to carry on with it. If we say Hari Kripa, or it's not us doing, we are the mediators, or have been chosen. Is that the right way, or what do you think?
That's the best way. That's the best way to say and to feel also.
Yeah, because
Because
that's
many
what
times we say so many things, but inside we relish that, how many people just praised me in the group, or
Yeah.
how many likes I got on my photo on the Facebook, or how many, that's all a ego booster. Or even suppose, if I, whatever meeting is happening right now, if I record it and I put it on YouTube, and tomorrow if I go to check how many likes or how many views my video get, that is an ego booster. So anything small, ego is very subtle and we cannot actually control it. We will not even realize it, how it penetrates. That's why it is very important to take shelter of the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and the names of Lord. When we chant the names of Lord, it's like a protection. The name starts protecting us from all these problems which will otherwise go under our skin and we'll not even realize. So that's why these scriptures are the basis of our life. They are the manual, and we should read these manuals. I hope it answers your question, Auntie, up to some extent. Meditation is, yes, it's confusing topic, but I'll
No,
not.
it is very deep, and then it confuses yours. Well, it confuses me because there's so many different areas of meditations, and how do you sort of, the main thing is to get rid of your ego and get to the destination of what you want to be, and that's our life. That's what we want, have chosen, and the right path should be taken on board.
So there is one verse in Bhagavad Gita for this. Vyavsayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana. This verse actually addresses the problem. Vyavsayatmika buddhir ekeha kurunandana bahu shakha hyanantascha. So this verse, what it says, if we are, on one path, it will lead us to somewhere. Bahu shakha means if we are on many paths, it will not take us anywhere. That is what we have to be very clear. Yes, in the beginning we can explore the paths, we can take some time, but if we continue to walk on all the paths, it becomes bahu shakha hinantascha buddhyo vyavasayinam. So that we have to be very clear. So this is what I'm saying. Bhagavad Gita will bring, every verse will give us the answer of every problem. So this verse particularly tells, whenever there's a confusion in people, we start walking on different paths, we start traveling in different boats. It's alarming verse. It tells, don't do that. Just travel in one boat. So that's needed.
Thank you, Mother. Sorry, I've taken a lot of your time, but it's a few things that I want to clear.
My pleasure. Hare Krishna, everyone. If there are any question, please ask now, or you can post in the group. And otherwise, we'll stop now and we'll connect next Saturday. Yeah. It's okay. Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you. Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Before we close, if we can chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times, that's how we will close the call. We will raise our hand a bit. It's the sign of surrender. Why we call it surrender, this sign? Because when a child cries, he just raises the hand in front of the mother, please pick me up. And then mother is forced to pick her up, pick him or her up, because the child is raising the hand. In the same mood, we should raise our hand in front of the Lord, that please pick me up. I'm surrendering to you. So let's chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra with hands raised 3 times, and then we'll stop. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare Hare.
Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Ram,
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna.
Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank
Thank you.
you,
Really.
Mataji.